Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. Word round the campfire seems to be that the WBA title in the women's super flyweight division has gone vacant. Reigning champion Clara Lescurat of Argentina has called it a career. She's retired. After 2 years and 6 months as reigning WBA champion,
she's done.
Creating an area of opportunity for a lot of fighters at or around these weights. Ranked at number 1 via the WBA's ranked standings is Mexico's own Regina Chavez. Ranked at number 2 is her countrywoman Maribel Ramirez. And ranked at number 3 is America's own Liana Cruz, fighter that we've talked about once or twice here on the channel. The next WBA champion could be one of them, in theory, though not just them. Those fighters don't have a major promotional outfit behind them. Those fighters don't box on a major platform. So as a result of Gabby Fundora becoming the inaugural undisputed champion in the women's flyweight division, it's conceivable that she may move up in weight in her very next fight. And now that an alphabet title has become available at super flyweight, it's possible that Gabby might skip ahead of the queue and pick up that newly vacated WBA title. That's another way it might happen, that it may not even be somebody in the WBA's ranks at 115 pounds. Gabby might swoop in and pick that title up.
Not just Gabby.
Think a little over a week ago, former unified flyweight champion Marlen Esparza shared the ring with a former champion like herself in Arely Lucinho. Won a points decision, but she was unable to make the contracted weight of flyweight. She was just over. Now, she may have had plans of picking up one or some vacant titles after Gabby Fundora leaves the flyweight division, but she won't be able to do that if she can't make flyweight herself, and thus, she may move up to super flyweight,
where Clara Lescurat is just retired, and where the WBA title has since gone vacant.
So maybe Marlen Esparza swoops in. Maybe she picks up the vacant WBA title. Maybe. Things are shaking, rattling, and rolling in the women's super flyweight division, where IBF champion Irma Garcia saw action recently. WBC champion Ashley Gonzalez saw action recently. Mizuki Hiruta of Japan, the reigning WBO champion, she's got a fight in the books. She's set to make her U.S. debut very soon.
And now this, the WBA title has gone vacant.
Given the WBA's practices in previous instances, they're going to prioritize putting that belt in the hands of someone who's with a major promotional outfit, someone who boxes on a major platform and thus can deliver them sanctioning fees on a regular basis. So I feel that could be Gabby, that could be Marlen.
They're with Golden Boy and they box on DAZN. They both do.
The next WBA champion, it seems to me, could be one of them.
And Clara?
I'm not completely sure why she decided to retire. Clara Lescurat hasn't been around a long while, not really, and she didn't have a whole lot of fights. We know that she never got the chance to unify a title with any of the other champions at this weight. This is a division that has remained divided for some years now, mostly because all the belt holders, not a single one among them is with a major outfit.
No money, no unifications. That's the way it is.
Now, Clara Lescurat, I've seen 2 or 3 of her fights, and she's a good fighter, a very good mid-range to inside fighter, makes for a fun fight to watch because she's an action fighter, but she's done. Maybe she's with child.
Maybe she got pregnant, and maybe she just got frustrated with the sport. That the opportunities at super flyweight, which is a very deep and talent-rich division, there's just not enough of them. There's not enough money flowing through there.
Or there hasn't been, which is unfortunate because I feel this year that's about to change. Though not soon enough for Clara Lescurat, who reportedly has called it a career, and best wishes to her in this next chapter of her life.
And yours?
Fry up some bacon and binge watch Ancient Aliens on Amazon Prime. Men's welterweight news: reigning WBA champion Deontay Stanionis calls for unification matches with fellow champions. I guess fighting only once this year.
Only once in the last two. He's finally started to realize he's in no position to haggle.
WBA champion Deontay Stanionis is seeking a unification fight. Stanionis returned to the ring in May to win a 12-round unanimous decision over Gabriel Maestre, likely for peanuts on the dollar, at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas on an undercard. Stanionis, a 30-year-old from Lithuania, previously snapped a 25-month layoff after Virgil Ortiz Jr. had to withdraw from their planned bout in 2023. Stanionis, who has a record of 15-0 with 9 KOs, wants another title. I want to unify the division and prove I am the best welterweight in the world, Stanionis said. No more excuses, let's get these unifications done. I'm ready for whoever steps up first. Via a press release, Stanionis methodically analyzed the current belt holders, explaining the merit of a matchup with each title holder from his perspective. When it comes to the 29-year-old WBC champion Mario Barrios, who holds a record of 29-2 with 1 draw and 18 knockouts, Stanionis noted that Mario Barrios is a strong champion who brings toughness and heart into the ring. A fight between us would be explosive. I respect what he's done in the sport, but I believe my skill and determination will make the difference. WBO champion Brian Norman Jr., who holds a record of 26-0 with 20 KOs, also has Stanionis' attention. Brian Norman Jr. has proven he belongs at the top. He's only getting better, Stanionis commented. I know he's hungry to show the world what he's capable of. A fight with the two of us would be a high-stakes battle between fighters who refuse to back down. I'm ready to put my belt on the line to make it happen. Then there is the fighter who spent 2024 looking for a compelling dance partner, Jaron Ennis, the IBF champion, who holds a record of 33-0 with 29 KOs. Ennis is viewed as one of the most exciting emerging fighters in the sport. And Ennis and Stanionis wouldn't just be logical, it is the bout most likely to determine the best welterweight in the world. Boots Ennis is one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing today, Stanionis said. He's fast, powerful, and skilled, but I believe in myself and my ability to outlast anyone in the ring. The fans have been asking for this fight. I want to make it a reality. Unification fights like this define legacies, and that's all well and good, but of the 3 champions Stanionis evaluated, only one of them made a play to unify. Only one of those champions pushed last year to make unification matches happen, and it wasn't Mario Barrios, it wasn't Brian Norman,
It wasn't Stanionis.
it was Boots. So maybe after that extended period on the shelf, Stanionis realized he's in no position to haggle, and unification matches are his best bet to make some money. Because in case you haven't noticed, this guy only boxed once in the last 2 years. He sat out all of 2023,
Only boxed once in 2024 and left to their own devices. Who knows when the PBC will get him out?
Now, he's currently under orders to satisfy a mandatory challenger in Shakram Gayasov. Standout amateur, good fighter, could be a hot potato, and more trouble than he's worth to Deontay Stanionis. That could be another part of the reason that Stanionis is all of a sudden talking about unification matches. You fight Shakram Gayasov,
You ain't gonna make a lot of money.
still no word on when exactly that fight is supposed to go down and where. All we know is that the order came down for them to negotiate and reach a deal.
And it's more trouble than it's worth to Deontay Stanionis because that guy's a decent fighter. Decent enough that it could be a hard night, and you're not even gonna make a lot of money.
I remember when Jaron Ennis was trying to get Brian Norman in the ring last year, and how Deontay Stanionis chimed in saying they didn't offer Brian Norman enough money.
That's rich coming from him.
What they offered Brian Norman: a career-high purse, money that he was not otherwise making, money he's not going to make fighting the Derek Cuevas's of the world. But to Deontay Stanionis, that wasn't enough. That's what he said last year, so that this year he can start advocating for unification matches. The problem? Mario Barrios may end up fighting Conor Benn, so he's spoken for.
Brian Norman might reschedule that Derek Cuevas fight.
Neither one of those two champions are likely to offer you anything for a unification match, leaving only Jaron Ennis.
He's the only one who made any kind of effort in the last 12 months to unify this division, while guys like you turned your noses up at his offers. What have you got to say now?
Oh, now you want to unify. Is it because you're under orders to fight Gaiasov? Is it because you know that ain't gonna pay but so much?
I'm not a big fan of Boots Ennis. I'm not one of those guys, but I am a fan of unification matches across as many weight classes as possible, because boxing needs them. Boxing doesn't need these divisions that stay divided where every man, woman, and his dog has a belt calling themselves a champion.
No.
So even if I'm not a fan of Boots, I'm a fan of what he's trying to do. Unify this division. It's necessary. It needs to happen.
So while some were celebrating that Boots couldn't get these guys to play ball, Mario Barrios, Stanionis, Brian Norman, I was left wondering, what are you celebrating? What exactly? Do you want this division to turn into the middleweight division?
For hate of Jaron Ennis.
It seemed to me like all these guys were really advocating for was that the welterweight division frees Jaron Ennis out. But how is that a good thing? It's not like they're gonna fight each other. If they all don't fight him, then nothing happens.
How is that a good thing?
Further accenting what I tell you about the American boxing fan all the time. These are the kind of people that will cut off their nose to spite their face. You would rather this division die on the vine just so that you can spike Boots?
Well, it looks like at least one guy woke up and smelt the mediocrity. Stanionis is not in a position to haggle, and he sat on the shelf long enough that maybe now he realizes beggars can't be choosy.
The other guys aren't gonna offer you any money. Not Mario Barrios, not Brian Norman.
You yourself, as a Lithuanian fighter, even one with a belt, you don't have a built-in fan base like, say, a Puerto Rican fighter would, or a Mexican fighter would. No, not a Lithuanian, and not in America.
So you better get while the getting is good, and while you have something that somebody might want.
That belt, that's the only thing of value you have.
Being a PBC fighter, on the PBC and Amazon side of the street, they only did 5 shows in the previous calendar year. Are you gonna let another one pass by before you get the message? They ain't got no money, they ain't got no fight dates. You yourself ain't worth so much that anybody's offering you anything. It's just Boots.
That's the only guy who's making offers to unify this division. It's just Boots.
So you can stop beating around the bush, stop dilly-dallying, stop wasting everybody's time, hurry up and get in there so you can get your ass kicked.
Jesus Christ.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. To make serious money, you have to fight serious opposition. That's the way it is.
You think you deserve more? Then go out there and get more. And win!
Money doesn't grow on trees, and you ain't exactly a hot commodity. See what the not-so-distant future holds for a Stanionis, WBA welterweight champion. Is it a mandatory title defense against Shakram Gaiasov, or is it a unification match with Jaron Ennis?
We'll find out.
Wilder would have went down that cruiserweight. Wilder would have probably fucked around and got Usyk. I think he would have got him. This nigga has a historic right hand punch, and we always talk about this. Wow, you can't throw him away because of that right hand. If he touches you, it's night-night. So hell yeah, we should give Wilder the fight. Why wouldn't we? Let's make sure his mind's still in the sport. He ain't got one foot in, and have Turkey sit down with Wilder and look him in his eyes and see if this is what he want, and let's throw him in there. Why not? And Wilder touch him one time, it's night-night. Let's go knock him off his pivot. That should have been you beating up AJ and Buckley. Shout out to Andy Ruiz, PBC. That should have been Wilder.
Yeah, with Wilder, that's the way it goes. It's always a woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of deal. Woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of situation. Now what one of Wilder's supporters is speculating is, had he moved down to the cruiserweight division and run the same gauntlet as Alexander Usyk, not only would he have beat them, those champions, but he would have beat him.
A haphazard way of not only delegitimizing Usyk's cruiserweight run, but legitimizing Wilder for events that never happened, fights that never took place.
And still holding out hope that he has enough left that if Turkey makes a fight between him and Usyk, Wilder might find his right hand. He couldn't find it with Joseph Parker, and he couldn't find it with Zhilei Zhang, but now they're hoping he can find it with Usyk.
Hopeless.
Still keeping hope alive after the last 4 or 5 years. 2 consecutive losses to Tyson Fury and 2 more recent losses to Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhang. Lopsided losses, demoralizing losses. You see, scarcity creates value.
What?
Scarcity. There's a scarcity of American heavyweights in today's heavyweight division to the point where they're elevating Wilder to a position he can't possibly hope to occupy, but scarcity is why so many still place so much value on him, because he's the only thing semblant of a dominant American heavyweight in the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Even if he wasn't actually dominant, even if he was always just the background character to the bigger and better fighters in the heavyweight division.
Because there's no one else coming through, no proliferation of American heavyweights coming up, they still place so much value on him, so much on his shoulders that he can't hope to carry. We have better fighters at other weights.
Promising ones.
Abdullah Mason, Keyshawn Davis. Richardson Hitchens just became IBF champion.
At 140.
America's got prize stallions in other divisions, just not in the heavyweight division, and one is left to wonder why. What happened to the American big man? And the theory is that the American big man is playing other sports. That if you're looking for an American, an athletic one, standing anywhere in between 6'3" and 6'6", well, he might be a linebacker in the NFL, or maybe playing in the NBA.
Sports that pay better than boxing, and don't require you to get punched in the face, punched in the head.
You can make very good money in the NFL, even if you're not the best in show.
More than your average boxer makes.
And this is what opened the door for the Europeans to basically take over the heavyweight division, because not only do those guys run big, very big guys, these guys,
they don't have the NFL or the NBA as an alternative.
So the guys that populate the heavyweight division now, it's a mixture of guys over there across the pond from the UK and Europe, some Australians,
Eastern Europeans.
That's primarily what you see in today's heavyweight landscape. And the American fighter, the American big man, is very much an outlier. When you're talking about guys like Jared Anderson or Richard Torres,
those are rarities.
America does not produce heavyweights in the same abundance that they used to for 2 reasons. 1, the American big man is playing other sports, and 2, the heavyweights got bigger. The median height for a heavyweight now is anywhere in between 6'3" to 6'7".
Heavyweights didn't used to be that big.
Back when America was producing the best heavyweights in the world, median height for a heavyweight was anywhere in between 6 feet to 6'3". Gradually, over time, the heavyweights got bigger, and with that, the scarcity started.
A guy with that kind of size in the United States is not limited to boxing. He can take those physical gifts to a different sport, different discipline, for more money.
So when you see that after everything Wilder's been through and how he's been looking, that there are some that are still holding to him and hoping that he can turn it all around, that's why. Because scarcity creates value. The less you have of something, the more valuable it becomes.
Even if they have to exaggerate about him, his ability, the effectiveness of his right hand,
may as well be waiting for a visit from the Tooth Fairy, because it ain't gonna happen. Wilder's done. If he couldn't find his right hand with Joseph Parker, who was standing right in front of him that entire fight, and he couldn't find it with Zhilei Zhang either, who was pressing forward, big guy, big target,
older than Usyk, a lot slower, but a bigger target. You couldn't find your right hand with them, you're not gonna find it with him.
And even worse, that for all these guys that are advocating that Wilder get this opportunity, it's not like they're gonna give Usyk credit for beating him.
They're just gonna say he was damaged goods, he had nothing left.
Conveniently, after the fight, like they did with Joseph Parker and like they did with Zhilei Zhang. What, has he turned back the hands of time? He's in his prime now?
Give it up already.